right. All right. Good morning. Welcome to the meeting of the City of Edina Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting. This is September 12th to Thursday, September 12th at 7:30 a.m. And with that, I will call the meeting to order. Executive Director, could you please take our roll call?
Commissioner Pierce?
Present.
Commissioner Agnew?
Present.
Commissioner Jackson?
Here. And with that, we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now, we are continuing to conduct these meetings in a hybrid fashion, and when we get to community comment that comes up very quickly, you can dial in, and we'll start with people in the audience if anybody's here. And so could we please show the call-in information? So here you go. There's the number and the access code, and remember to press *3 when you're ready to speak, and that will be community comment is the only time this morning that we will be having intake from the community. So with that, then, let's move on to approval of the meeting agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the meeting agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved by Commissioner Agnew, seconded by Commissioner Pierce. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it passes. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering where our normal chair is and our Commissioner Risser, they're both unable to be here this morning, so we are down to a mighty 3. So now, see, I told you it came up quickly. It's time for community comment. I don't see anybody in the audience, and Director Bennerat, are you having any callers come online?
I do not have anyone on the line at this point, but because there is a slight delay in the broadcast, I would recommend we wait 1 minute before moving on. My clock shows it at 7:33, so I will come back to you when I have a caller or at 7:34, whichever's first.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
Nine, 8.
Do not want to deny anyone the opportunity to participate. It is now 7:34, and I don't have any callers, so I think it's safe to move forward.
Thank you. The longest minute of the day. So it is our custom to respond to previous community comment. Have our Executive Director respond to that. Executive Director Neal, did we have any comments from last time?
We did not.
Okay, thank you so much. And with that, we can move on to the adoption of the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
A second.
Moved by Commissioner Pierce and second by Commissioner Agnew. All those in favor can signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, thank you. And it passes. Okay, we have no public hearings this morning, so we're straight into reports and recommendations. And I will turn it over to our Executive Director, Scott Neal, to begin the discussion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The only item on the agenda for the HRA this morning is the approval of the proposed 2025 operating budget. This is a budget that is separate from our general operating budget. It has a separate tax levy associated with it. The tax levy is approved first by the HRA and then is confirmed by the City Council at the same time that the Council approves the preliminary 2025 total tax levy. So what we're asking for today is your approval of a budget proposal that really is a 3% increase in our levy. It's about a $7,600 increase in total revenue. It's what we would refer to it as an incremental budget. This has been a pretty consistent 3% increase with our HRA every year. We use our HRA revenues to fund staff costs, admin costs, legal costs, associated with our housing and economic development functions in city government. If you have specific questions about any of our numbers, either me or our finance director, Patau, can answer your questions.
Okay, so in our memo, well, first of all, I'll just turn to my fellow commissioners before I start talking. Anybody have any questions or comments? Yeah.
I'm good.
You're good?
Go ahead, yeah, for now.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to put out for the general public the total number. So we are looking at a total amount levied of $259,300. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and that's a 3% increase from what we had previously. And this is something we do annually, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and what's the current rate of inflation? Do you know approximately? Director Tao, do you know what that is? Okay. Okay, wonderful, thank you. So we're right in line with inflationary increases here. Okay, terrific, thank you.
And there are no special or otherwise extra inflationary kinds of changes that are happening in this budget. There are, we'll argue next week in the larger city budget, but in this budget, there are not.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioner Agnew.
Thank you. Are there limits to how much this can increase in any given year?
No, I don't think there is.
Not
I
effectively.
think there's like a percentage that we can only have the HRA levy be per, I think, our tax capacity. It could only be a certain percentage of it.
Yeah.
And I don't have that percentage off the top of my head.
It's a percentage of our market value, which means that maximum. I'm sure we could levy $2 or $3 million
We're
here.
well below it.
Yeah, we're well below that number, and most cities are.
Okay, and that's helpful. And where my mind was going is I know we've had a few conversations in the past about the opportunity that might exist to use these funds in another way. And I just wanted to make sure that, if we had a plan together in the future, that we would still have the possibility of increasing.
If there,
Like next year.
Yes, I would acknowledge that. This levy that I'm recommending to you today would preclude those for 2025, but it does not preclude them for 2026 or beyond.
Thank you.
Does that prompt any questions from you, Commissioner Pierce?
Yes, thanks, Madam Chair. So as we move forward, just the bigger context of the total levy. And so we are asked to assess this and approve this today. And then speak about how we determine the final levy and how, if we decided to make some decisions that were different within the respects of HRA, then what would happen if we wanted to, say, raise this for whatever reason in the context of the broader levy, tax levy.
So Commissioner Pierce, you're asking how we determine the final levy for the HRA or for the full city budget?
I'm asking both. So I'm saying the final levy for the city, and then this is a subset of that.
Okay.
And then I'm asking, process-wise, if we decided we wanted to adjust something within the HRA levy, what's that process? How would we do that?
Okay. So those two levies and those two budgets are separate, right? The HRA is a subsidiary organization of city government. So when you set this levy today, you're setting the maximum levy that could be set for 2025. So as we move forward to December and final approval of that levy, after today, if this is approved as proposed, You could only go lower, you can't go higher.
Okay.
And that's the same is true with the general city budget as well.
Okay, thank you.
Good question, thank you. I'd forgotten that part of it. So, without any further discussion, can I have a motion to approve resolution number 2024-7, adopting the proposed budget and establishing the proposed tax levy in 2025?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Commissioner Pierce, second by Commissioner Agnew. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right. And we've got it passed. So then we're on to executive director's comments.
Just one brief one today, and that is that we are beginning to have some discussions around our meeting schedule for 2025. We would like the HRA to give some thought to whether or not you'd still like this format of a 7:30 a.m. Thursday morning meeting. We have other options, of course. There were the first few years I was here, we would try to tack an HRA meeting on the end of a city council meeting. Those years meant that sometimes that HRA meeting didn't start till 11 o'clock at night, sometimes after midnight. That's why we actually moved that meeting until an early morning slot. But we are thinking about whether this is a good time for you. Staff can make it work whenever we choose, but are Thursdays the right day? We've talked about whether or not to substitute this meeting for some of our work session time slots and do an HRA meeting immediately prior to the city council meeting. So we don't have to decide that today, but I'd like you to give some thought to it, because we will bring sometime in October, we hope, or early November, the 2025 meeting schedule back to you for an approval.
So any comments on that? Yeah, Commissioner Agnew.
Thank you. So my initial reactions are, I don't want to change it dramatically. Like, I don't want to tack this on to the end of a meeting. I don't want to go that late. And I also don't love the idea of using our work sessions for it, because it feels like we always have things that we want to discuss in those forums as a council. And so I think it would be unfortunate to lose out on any of that time together. So my recommendation would be keep it mostly the same, maybe bump it earlier, like 7 a.m., so we can be sure to be out before the workday starts for some folks. But I can continue to make 7:30 work if needed.
Yeah, so I agree with Commissioner Agnew. Although I don't know that I want to start at 7, but I think where she's coming from is spot on. So the thing that's difficult to deal with is when we move beyond the end day or end time. And so either starting earlier so that we can ensure that we finish as expected, or we need to build the agendas and control the conversation so that we're done on time. And then it's easy to adjust this with our day job schedules.
I will confirm, or agree with my fellow commissioners. I think the one thing that comes to my mind is in both our work sessions and our HRA meetings, we've been dealing with such complicated issues that the time really feels tight. So I definitely don't want to get rid of the work sessions. But let's see, we've got a little over an hour for a work session. This is an hour and a half scheduled. So if there's any way to control the agenda where we can actually get things done in a timely fashion, I don't know. Things come at us from the outside world fast and furious. And we have a lot of complicated decisions to make. But I do want to make sure that we have enough time for both our work sessions and our HRA meetings. This time does work for me.
Do any of the three of you have thoughts on, when we moved to Thursday mornings, we had this discussion about, do you want to have HRA meetings synced with a council week, or do you want it to be staggered? Does that have anybody have strong feelings one way or another on that?
Commissioner Pierce.
Thanks, Madam Chair. There's two things that I would say are important to me. One is having the schedule as early as possible so that I can kind of work that into everything else. And then I think second would be we meet when we need to. And so if that ends up meaning in a year for HRA, we only need to have 5 meetings, then let's just have 5 meetings. So whatever the need is, let's schedule that. But let's try to schedule it far enough in advance so that we can adjust.
Good.
Yeah, personally, I found having 2 meetings in a week was exhausting. I know it's hard to schedule vacations that way, but having to turn around 2 days later and deal with another set of complicated issues was very difficult. And it can be done, but I'd prefer to have that time to stop and refocus on being HRA.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I think there is so much preparation that goes into most meetings. Today was a shorter packet, right? But in most meetings where I wouldn't be able to start consuming the packet for the Thursday until after the Tuesday because I would have too much on my brain. And so I think for me, I like to keep it staggered, even though I agree it does kind of add some of that difficulty in scheduling travel and other things, but it's doable.
Terrific. Okay, thank you. So did you get
That's
the
helpful.
feedback you needed?
Yeah, that's helpful.
Okay.
Thank you. And I will check in with your 2 colleagues as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, and with that, we move to HRA Commissioners' comments, and we'll start on my left. Commissioner Agnew, do you have any comments this morning?
No, none this morning.
Okay,
Thank you.
terrific. Commissioner Pierce.
No, nothing from me this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. So I want to just remind people, we are the economic development body as well as the housing development body, and I want to remind people, go shop at 50th and France and shop at 44th and France. The construction has been very hard on our businesses there. They can use your patronage. They've got wonderful sales. Things are turning over with the new season, and it's a great place to go down and see people and have some fun and spend a little money. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Agnew, second by Commissioner Pierce. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, thank you, and we are adjourned.